In an official report submitted to the French Parliament for 2025, the French Ministry of Defense openly acknowledged Turkey's significant rise in the global defense industry. The report is not simply an economic analysis, but a strategic document highlighting significant changes in the global military-industrial landscape. France, which for decades has been one of the world's leading arms exporters, now views Turkey as a rising power to watch. The report states that Turkey has achieved remarkable improvements in the quality of production, innovation, and national defense technology. This development did not occur overnight, but is the result of 2 decades of investment, research, and policies oriented toward strategic self-reliance. France highlights how Turkey has successfully transitioned from dependence on foreign arms suppliers, particularly following the various embargoes imposed by its Western allies. From a mere arms buyer, Turkey now stands alongside major global manufacturers such as Germany, China, and South Korea. This transformation is proof that Ankara's long-term strategy under the Türkiye Yüzyılı vision is truly bearing fruit. A French report asserts that the development of Turkey's defense industry is a phenomenon that must be closely monitored. The reason is clear. Turkey's rise has the potential to change the competitive dynamics in the global arms market, which has traditionally been dominated by the West. In the chapter Export Control Mechanisms, the report explains that France considers it crucial to balance cooperation opportunities with strategic risks. Turkey, the report notes, is both a potential partner and a competitor that can influence global supply chains. This signals that France is beginning to recognize the emergence of a new pole in the defense industry. Not only the United States and Russia, but also Asian and Middle Eastern countries are now challenging Europe's traditional dominance. Turkey is the most prominent example of this shift, from the renowned Bayraktar combat drone to the 5th-generation Kaan fighter jet. Turkey's production capabilities are increasing dramatically. The French report states that Turkey's defense exports in 2024 will increase by 80% compared to the previous year. This figure reflects the surge in demand for Turkish-made military products in the international market. This success is largely driven by the successful export of UAV and UCAV systems, which are now used by more than 30 countries. The Bayraktar TB2, Akinci, and Anka have become new symbols of Turkey's technological prowess in the air. These products are not only combat equipment but also instruments of defense diplomacy that strengthen Turkey's relations with many countries. France highlights that Turkey's ability to produce advanced systems more cost-effectively has transformed the global market landscape. Developing countries now prefer to buy from Turkey rather than from expensive and politically restricted Western manufacturers. The report also highlights Turkey's active role in developing armored vehicles, warships, and air defense systems. In a short time, Ankara has built a defense industry ecosystem that integrates the public and private sectors. France sees this as a threat to Europe's technological dominance, particularly in the Middle East, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Many countries that were once major French customers are now shifting to contracting with Turkey. With competitive prices and flexible technical support, Turkish products are becoming a new alternative in the global market. The French report calls Turkey a new global actor in the modern defense industry. But behind this recognition lies a sense of strategic caution. France warned that the growth of Turkey's defense industry needs to be controlled to prevent new geopolitical risks. In the context of arms export policy, France considers it crucial to continue monitoring Ankara's foreign policy direction. Turkey's more independent and assertive policies in the Middle East and the Caucasus are considered to be detrimental to regional balance. Therefore, this report emphasizes the importance of stricter control mechanisms for arms export cooperation with Turkey. One indicator of France's changing stance is the decline in arms export licenses to Turkey over the past 9 years. In 2015, France granted 148 arms export licenses to Turkey, but by 2024, that number had dropped dramatically to just 40. The value of actual arms shipments from France to Turkey also decreased to 40.4 million euros, a figure that contrasts with total shipments from 2015 to 2024, which reached 530.7 million euros. This decline indicates strategic and political constraints in the defense relationship between the two countries. France appears cautious about preventing its military technology from strengthening potential rivals in the global market. Turkey, on the other hand, is using this situation as an impetus to strengthen its national independence. Every embargo, every licensing delay, fuels Turkish innovation and domestic production. President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has repeatedly asserted that Turkey will never again rely on foreign powers for defense. In a spirit of technological nationalism, Ankara continues to promote research, engineering, and manufacturing under the banner of Made in Turkey. Now the results are beginning to be felt globally. Turkey has become a leading arms exporter with a reputation for reliability and cost efficiency. France even acknowledged in a report that Turkey is now among the group of countries shaping the new direction of the global defense industry. Along with China and South Korea, Turkey is described as a competitive player, expanding its influence across various regions. This is a rare diplomatic recognition from one of Europe's greatest military powers. From a geopolitical perspective, this report marks a shift in the balance of the arms industry from the West to Eurasia. Turkey has risen from a mere consumer to a respected producer and exporter, and major powers now consider Turkey a key factor in their defense policies. For France, Turkey's rise presents two sides: opportunities for cooperation, but also real competitive challenges. Therefore, France's stance in this report reflects a mixture of recognition and caution. On the one hand, they respect Turkey's success. On the other, they want to ensure that this rise does not undermine Europe's strategic stability. However, for Ankara, French recognition is proof of the success of a long-cherished national vision. The world now sees Turkey not as a recipient of technology, but as a source of innovation and new strength. From land, sea, and air, Turkey's defense industry stands tall with indigenous technology. The French report is official testimony that Turkey has transcended its historical boundaries and established itself on the global military map. In the grand narrative of the 21st century, Turkey's rise is not simply an industrial story, but a symbol of the nation's transformation toward independence, strength, and global influence recognized even by its old rivals.